The first thing on the agenda today is that, of course, Israel faces new elections as Netanyahu fails to form his government. Now, of course, the Trump administration was planning to reveal their plan for Middle East peace after Ramadan was determined or was finished, and also after the Netanyahu administration was formed. Well, now that has been exhausted, and now he has to go ahead and call for new elections, and I believe they're set for September 17th. But despite this setback, the Trump administration says that they will still have their Bahrain conference or summit that's slated to take place later this month. Now, that would be the economic side of his peace plan. And of course, down the road, they expect to reveal the political side of this particular plan. And now there's a report circulating that the Trump administration is still waiting for the best time to reveal the political side of this peace plan. And of course, there's also the problem with North Korea. We really don't know how that's going to unravel. And at the same time, Iran and Hezbollah is claiming that they will strike out at the U.S. And at their various points in the region, and that they would oppose this peace plan, even if it is accepted. And let's not forget the fact that Russia and China have teamed up together and have rejected the Trump plan. But, I have I believe that there's a lot to say about that. And I don't necessarily believe that it has anything to do with the region. Of course, we all know about the sanctions that have been placed upon Russia because of their operations in Ukraine, and also China. They have a bone to pick with the United States regarding tariffs, potential tariffs, and also this trade war that has been rumbling for several months. So there may be some ulterior motives behind both of them because they have financial incentives to oppose the Trump administration. Now, here's an article by Al Monitor. They kind of have a different take. And this is what the article says about this. Since 2002, Russia has been part of the so-called Middle East Quartet along with the United Nations and United States and the European Union. Russia's vision for the conflict is that it should be settled via an international legal framework as set forth in the UN resolution, as well as the 1991 Madrid Conference and the 2002 Arab Peace Initiative. Moscow is therefore suspicious of any efforts that would exclude it. Now, that might be what they're saying out loud, but the truth of the matter is that Russia is trying to undo any goodwill that the United States may do in the Middle East. And certainly there's an incentive for the United States to bring peace. Well, actually, for anyone to bring peace for that matter. And I'm pretty sure that Russia would like to have a piece of that pie. And speaking of Russia, here's another article that I also find quite interesting. It says top U.S., Israeli, Russian security officials to meet in Jerusalem in June, White House says. Now, certainly they have what they're going to reveal regarding what this meeting is all about. But I have to believe that there may be some sideline work to try to get Russia on board with this peace plan. Now, the article does not elaborate on what the plan is all about. It only indicates that these individuals would take part in a meeting. But I think it's quite true that if Russia is not involved or does not get some part in this peace plan, the plan may not be very successful. But again, I could be wrong on that. In fact, I've said this in the past that it very well may be that it is successful because Russia is not involved, because this meeting could be a direct response by the fact that Russia cannot control Iran on Israel's northern border, and therefore they need this alliance in order to make sure that Iran does not meddle further or even try to make war as they have in the past, especially with the sabotage that they did on the different tankers off from Saudi Arabia. That attack may in fact have emboldened this particular peace plan to come together even more than what it was before. And certainly we don't know what the future holds. There may be a further attack that does bring this peace process together and does bring the partners together further in an attempt to galvanize their military force to send a message to both Iran, Hezbollah, and Russia. So the recent activities of, or should I say the emboldened activities of Iran and also their proxies in the region may very well be their undoing. So it very well could be possible that this alliance between the moderate Arab world and Israel and the United States may well bring about what is described in Ezekiel 38 as an alliance between Russia, Turkey, and Iran and a number of other Islamic nations. And their threat may ultimately start out as a regional threat in which they will attack Israel, and once they destroy Israel, they believe that the rest of the Middle East will fall easily. It may start out as a regional war, and that may be the reason why most of the big guns, such as the United States, Great Britain, and others, may look on as this attack is about ready to take place, and Saudi Arabia may protest, but no one will come to Israel's rescue. And something else that you need to take into consideration in Revelation chapter 6, verses 1 through 5, it talks about a peace that will be established, and then shortly after the peace is established, then war will break out. It's my belief that it very well could be peace for a little while, but when this Ezekiel 38 war does break out, that's when peace will be taken from the earth, and this war will go from a regional war to an international and global war. And that is probably when the Antichrist will make his move, and he will establish a global empire toward the middle of the tribulation period. But getting back on track with the peace process, here's something that you need to look at, and I believe is very important to let you know how powerful and how serious that this peace process is. Many believe that the Palestinians, all they need to do is just reject it and walk away, and by doing so, that would be the end of this peace process. But if they really believed that, they would not be calling upon Congress to pressure Trump. Here's what the article says. It is entitled, PA Calls on Congress to Pressure Trump. Palestinian Authority Cabinet Leader Mohammed Shatea is calling on members of the U.S. Congress to sound their voices in order to save the two-state solution. In a meeting in Ramallah on Thursday with Congressman Elliot Engel, who heads the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Shatea stressed the importance of congressional pressure on the Trump administration to lift the sanctions on the PA and put an end to what he called the economic war against the PA. The two-state solution is in jeopardy because of the Israeli plans to annex parts of the West Bank, which will eliminate any possibility of establishing a Palestinian state, he warned. We asked a number of countries to recognize the state of Palestine within the 1967 borders in order to deal with the Israeli annexation plans and to preserve the two-state solution. Israel, he claimed, has violated all the agreements it signed, and in particular the Paris Agreement, when it offset the salaries of terrorists from the tax funds it collects on behalf of the PA. PA Chairman Mahmoud Abbas later reiterated that he would not accept partial payment of tax transfers owed by Israel, and also stressed that he would not end the financial support for the families of terrorists who are imprisoned in Israel or who were eliminated while carrying out attacks against Israelis. Well, of course, we are for common sense decisions, and that being that the Trump administration and the Israeli government have rightfully decided to punish the Palestinians, one, because they would not come back to the negotiation table because they didn't get their way, and for Israelis who say, listen, we're not paying terrorists with tax money. But don't think for a second that this peace process is not serious and that the Palestinians don't take it seriously, because if they didn't take it seriously, they would just reject it, walk away, and wait for it to implode because they're not participating in this plan. They know that it's becoming very evident that this plan may go forward and has a high likelihood of going forward with or without them. And I have a feeling that the incentives are going to be very difficult to walk away from, and they may be shamed into or pressured into going into this peace process by their own people. If the incentives are true, this could be a hundreds of billion-dollar investment / economic windfall for the Palestinians, and they would be crazy to walk away from it. But there's one thing I forgot to mention regarding the Russians. They have rejected the peace plan, but they still haven't rejected it outright because they haven't seen the whole plan yet. That was mentioned also in the article that I read. But the point I'm trying to make is that I find it highly suspicious that the Palestinians would say that they're going to reject it but yet they are still trying to stay in the conversation regarding the peace plan. But the one thing I'll leave you is this right here. This peace plan is not dead until it's completely dead. So it's still very much alive. This plan will continue to roll forward toward the late June Bahrain summit. And then we'll be looking at the political side being unraveled and revealed sometime in the later months. And it very well may be after the September the 17th election. But one thing's for sure, God has given us plenty of time to see the day coming. Even if at first it is rejected, the momentum is certainly heading towards some type of peace in the Middle East. And if you know the Lord, today is the day of salvation. 150,000 people are going to die today, and you could be one of them. We don't know when we're going to die. We just know that one day our day is coming. But when you do die, are you going to stand before God and be able to hear the words, "Well done," or will you be rejected and sent away? Well, the only way to be able to hear the words "Well done" is to know His Son, Jesus, as Savior. There's no other way to heaven except through Him. There may be others who say there are other ways, but really the Bible says and makes the very bold claim that there's only one way to heaven, and that's through Jesus. So God has made it very plain in His Word that you're not getting to heaven unless you go through the Lord. So I would certainly make that decision today, and you Christians, you need a copy of my Tribulation Period Survival Guide. Time is definitely running short. You need to get that book into the hands of every lost friend and loved one that you have. There are two versions that you can get. One's a paperback version, which you do have to purchase. Go down to the description section of this video and click on the link, and you can get your copy. And also there is a free version, same book. It's written in 12 different languages. You can email it to someone. You can text the link to whomever it is that you want to get it to. But whatever way you choose to get this in the hands of your friend or loved one, do so. I believe this book is going to save a lot of people during the tribulation period, and hopefully before. But the only way that's going to happen is if you get that book to them. Well, this is Terry Malone with the Calvary Prophecy Report.